Mansfield today on a Sunday, time to get into the garden, get down and dirty with Melanie Walker. Hello, Mel.
I'm not getting dirty with anybody, thank you very much. I mean, you can go and get dirty with somebody else. Hi there.
Now, we're talking, I believe, indigenous plants today.
We are indeed. We're talking about all kinds of wonderful indigenous plants. And you know what? This is one of the things that a lot of people say, well, you know, it's lovely having all of these different plants in our gardens, but, you know, we try as often as possible to say to people, plant indigenous, especially ones that are endemic to your area, because then they'll just work better. I mean, it's all very well and good, you know, bringing some fynbos, for instance, coming back from Cape Town, but it's used to those conditions there. But there have been people who are breeding various varieties that will handle different areas, like, you know, fynbos that will work in Gauteng. And through the course of all of these journeys that I've taken when it comes to plants, I've met some amazing people, and the breeders are always the ones that really fascinate me. With they take a plant and they take another plant and they make a new plant. And that for me, it's like it's some kind of magic. So we're talking to a magician today.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know Andy de Wet was a magician.
No, they're all magicians. They're amazing. The things that they can do, you know, it's like gardening is magic. You have to remember that. Everything about gardening is magic. So yes, Andy de Wet. Met him because he is one of the top breeders of aloes. But it's obviously not at the moment aloe time. You know, we have aloes in winter, although you do get summer flowering aloes, of which I have some. But it's my favorite time of year because my favorite plant is starting to come out. And I will always say, everybody like, why do you want to put agapanthus in your garden? They fill so many needs and spots, and they're beautiful. It's sex on stalks. That's not my...
Okay, right.
No,
okay.
not mine.
Enough. Andy de Wet, please rescue me from this.
It's true. Alan Titchmarsh said that agapanthus are sex on stalks, so that's how I think of them. Do you agree, Andy?
Are you the one who said, no, we're not getting down and dirty? You're a thick stalk here. No, well, okay. Melanie and Jeremy, thanks for having me. Look, you say magician, but you know, I remember a magician having a magic wand and poof, there's something new. It's not quite like that, the plant breeding. It's actually quite a long, slow, tedious task. Why I breed indigenous plants is because it's such a shame when you buy gazanias, pelargoniums, osteospermums, all those kind of indigenous Barberton daisies in the nurseries and shops these days. They generally don't do so well in our gardens because they were bred in the Northern Hemisphere. Meaning that they were selected to be prime in overcast, cooler, wetter conditions. And I always feel it's such a shame that we buy and sell these plants, our wholesale and retail nurseries, but the royalties for these new cultivars have always been sent back overseas to the breeders of our plants. So that was one of my prime motivations to start plant breeding. I'm a botanist, so I've always had that interest. But to breed our own plants for our own warm, hot, dry conditions. And that's where it all started, basically.
You see, a lot of the people overseas are doing work with our plants.
Yeah.
And that's, the thing is that then the money goes overseas instead of coming here, which I think is quite sad a lot of the time. So I'm very glad that Andy's coming up with wonderful stuff that works well in our garden.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you like Aggies?
I do love Aggies. My mum used to love Aggies when she was a very virile gardener, let me put it that way. Yes, she used to always, I remember my mum walking around the garden, working out where she was going to plant her Aggies when it was agapanthus season.
And they do. You can have them in the shade, you can have them in full sun. When their flowers are gone, you have beautiful seed heads. You end up with them being green the whole way through winter, so you don't end up with like this brown patch which you then have to go and fill in again. And I mean, they just are absolutely delightful. And you can have ranges of size. But I mean, you've been breeding, what is the tallest one you've got and which is the smallest one you've got, Andy?
Well, the smallest one we've been recently in our breeding been getting really, really cool little plants with broad leaves. And I would say about that as a little pot plant with short little leaves. So those aren't released yet, but there's some really exciting, really small ones. But then when it comes to tall ones, we really don't want to, in breeding, want to create the biggest. The reason being that in the industry, the retail and wholesale industry, people smaller plants work better. So we generally work for sort of slightly just bigger than medium size, and then sort of a little bit smaller than that, because those plants aren't so clumsy in the handling and the transporting of plants, and they show off better in your nurseries.
Andy, just as a matter of interest, is the move towards keeping plants smaller in line with people having smaller homes, smaller gardens, and downsizing in a lot of ways?
Definitely, because there's more containers than that, but there's also, one has to bear in mind that gardens get smaller, but they don't get shorter. So you're still going to require plants that get taller. If you look at my garden, I mean, what I've created is a bit of a forest, even though it's a small garden, as my background. And then I have all the smaller plants in front, but also you find a lot of container gardening happening these days because the gardens are smaller.
And have you seen the range of colors these days?
No, I haven't. I haven't actually been to a nursery to look at plants for ages.
You know, what are you going to do? The man doesn't want a garden. But I mean, we always think of like agapanthus originally as being that kind of a lavendery color. Those are the original ones, and then the white ones. But now, I mean, you get, I know that you've been working also with the agapanthus inapertus, which is the one that hangs down, comes from Mpumalanga region, is that dark, dark purple color.
Yes.
But now there's also pale,
yes.
You've got the pink ones coming out as well, haven't you?
It's a secret, so we don't tell anybody, but we have got them coming. Yes, we've been able to, the beauty of working with indigenous plants is that we have the whole spectrum of, the whole gene pool is in South Africa. So I've been able to, when we started, I took all the widest extremes of the gene pool that we could find, the extreme forms, and we've been combining and recombining and recombining to try and unlock some of those hidden colors and genes that are in the plants. So we've got really exciting new stuff coming.
Sure. We could have an entire garden just full of agapanthus and I'd be happy. Grasses and agapanthus is the way to go. Yes. But I mean, also for the shady areas, as I said, you can put aggies in there, but you've also been doing some lovely work with one of our favorite South African shade plants, which I don't know how many varieties there are, of course, Plectranthus.
Yes, Plectranthus. The Plectranthus are exciting. They're extremely hard work to get nice new hybrids. Their parts are so small when you do pollinating, number one, and number two, they really don't want to know much of my business of hybridizing. But we have already brought out one that's taken the world by storm. It's called Plectranthus Magic Mona. It's just an upgrade from the old Mona lavender that's been around, and it's just got much bigger and brighter flowers and nicer foliage. So those are good for shady gardens, more sort of semi-shade than dark shade, I would say. Yes, and of course, we're working on about 16 different South African genera at the moment. A lot of the flowering plants, and of course, aloes is our biggest. And I've just now I said we're going smaller, but we've also got an aloe called Samson, which looks like a quiver tree, but it grows easily in gardens. So we've got monsters as well as smaller plants.
That's the thing. I mean, the one place I haven't been to in South Africa is into the Richtersveld, and I'd love to go there to see the quiver trees in flower. I love the big tree aloes are one of my favorite things. And I mean, if you go out to the aloe farm and you go and have a look, okay, the aloes are not out at the moment, but you've got a festival coming up at the moment, haven't you? The Aloe Festival. Not Aloe Festival, your Agapanthus Festival.
The Agapanthus Festival is on at the moment. So because it's the prime flowering season for them, so we've got all our different varieties that are available in blocks, special prices. But we've also got a big area where we've put out some collection plants to show people some of the extremes that we've been able to achieve. Those aren't plants that will be released soon. They're just extreme forms of what we have achieved, to show people how interesting the genus really is and what's locked in those little normal blue and white flowers that you see, what you can unlock if you work them hard.
See, I told you, gardening requires a lot of water, most of it in the form of sweat. I'm sure you'll agree, Andy.
I do, but our breeding has been mainly because water shortage is such a reality. Our breeding has been mainly to try and reduce the dependence that your garden would have on water. So most of the plants we work with are drought resistant.
And if people want to go and check out the Agapanthus Festival, where are you situated?
We're in Hartbeespoort. It's very easy. It's called the Aloe Farm. And you can Waze or Google Maps it and find it. It's quite easy. It's right there near the Hartbeespoort Dam, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've got a whole display on, and it's actually quite a nice nursery to visit because it's different. It's a big nursery, and we've got indigenous gardens, and we've got unusual plants and unusual things that other nurseries just don't have.
He's also got a really big bonsai. You'd think that bonsais were small. He says he's got the biggest bonsai. I found out apparently there's one bonsai which is a bonsai which is bigger than yours.
No, never tell a man that he's... never tell a man that...
Don't tell us that.
Yeah. No, you never tell a man that you found somebody else who's got a bigger bonsai than he has.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got a board up I've got a board up, my biggest one, that says the biggest bonsai in Africa, ? So it's an open question. I challenge still on that one.
Andy, thank you very much for joining us on Mansfield today. And I know a mate of mine is a huge aloe fan. His garden is full of aloes. And he every year when he gives away birthday or Christmas presents, you know what you're going to get from Mark. You're going to get an aloe.
There's some wonderful ones. He gave me one called Marilyn, and it's called Marilyn because the petals come up like this, and it looks like Marilyn when she's standing over that white skirt. It's the most beautiful little aloe as well.
You were going to say,
so my parting thing is just to say that in our breeding, what I'm trying to achieve is plants that have a very long flowering season. So with the aloes, a lot of them flower for longer and out of season. And also with the Agapanthus, we have some varieties that flower throughout the year now rather than just a short flowering season. Much better for a small garden because you've got more color in your garden throughout.
Very well worth a visit. The Aloe Farm. Andy de Wet, thank you very much for joining us on Mansfield today. Mel, thanks for that.
No, thank you. And I hope you're going to go out and buy lots of stuff and put it in your garden.
Well, I'm certainly going out to the Aloe Farm. I can tell you that. And I'm going to take Mark with me.
You won't be sorry.
Yeah.
You really won't be sorry. It's fantastic.
Good one. Thank you, Mel. She'll be back next Sunday once again, and hopefully so will you. Bye-bye.